More people joining us. I gotta be honest. I'm a little disappointed in everyone that's here. It's way too nice outside to be stuck on a Zoom call, but I appreciate your commitment, and you get extra brownie points for that. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and get rolling. It's 1:03. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ben VanCamp. I am currently the vice president at the Chamber Collaborative until the 1st of June, and then I will become the president at the Chamber Collaborative. And it's great to see everybody here today. We have several other Chamber staff members on the call with us today. We have Valerie Rochon, our current president and soon to be retiree, and we're all excited for her new chapter in life. We have Jen Stevens on the call, our communication and event person. And we have Judy, our keeper of the books, on the call. And I don't think we have Michelle, but Michelle, our tourism director, may be joining us momentarily. So we have quite the team here today.
Open mic.
Yeah, if we can just get muted, everybody. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the mall, the future of the mall. It's a hot topic. There's a lot of conversation about it going on in town right now. Before we dive in, I do have a couple of just quick housekeeping things. If you can stay on mute for the whole session today. If you have some questions, feel free to throw it into the chat. Both Jen and I will be taking a look at that. This is being recorded, as you can see, and we do post these on our website and on YouTube, so try not to say anything too embarrassing. And we are just excited for everyone to be here. We do have a couple of people I want to recognize. I'm not sure if they're here, but I know they signed up. We had State Senator Rebecca Perkins-Coca that was supposed to join us today. We'll see if she is able to make it. We have State Representative Jacqueline Callie-Pitts. We have Monty Bohannon, the Chamber's board chair. Wendy Clement, one of our Chamber board members from Kennedy Gallery, is supposed to be joining us today. Ellen Gold from the City of Portsmouth Economic Development Coalition is here. I believe Stephanie Secord, our fabulous city public information officer, is with us. And we have a number of people from the town of Newington, not surprisingly, as I think this is probably a huge topic for Newington, because I would have to venture to guess that the mall represents a good little chunk of tax base for the town of Newington. So there's quite the representation from those folks, and we're delighted to have you today. Just briefly, a quick couple upcoming events that the Chamber has. The Hit the Decks is first and foremost, and it is a perfect deck day today, is going now through Sunday. So go and enjoy our downtown restaurants, hotels, attractions, and retailers. Go check that out. You can get all sorts of great information on that event at hitthedecksportsmouth.com. I do want to just remind everyone that it is a 5-day spring event, and then we're going to have 2 other Hit the Decks events this summer. There's going to be a fun scavenger hunt, and we're going to bring back the Ceres Street Open. And I'll tell you more about that some other time. Coming up, some other great events that you want to just mark on your calendars. This coming Wednesday, the 19th, we have the State of the City, where we will have our Portsmouth Mayor Rick Beckstead joining us, along with City Manager Karen Connor. That's going to be from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning on next Wednesday via Zoom, so join us for that. The following Wednesday, the 26th, we have a session at noon on the mental health for your employees, and that's going to be in partnership with Seacoast Mental Health, so hopefully you can join us for that. And then lastly, on June 4th, we will be having our morning mixer, Friday, June 4th, from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning, and we are actually going to be in person. Our first morning mixer returning to in person in a long time, 15, 16 months or something now. It's going to be hosted by Jenna McDonald from PMAC, who's on the call with us today. Thanks for being here, Jenna. And we will be at Portsmouth Harbor Cruises. We're not going to go out on we will go on the boat, but boat's going to stay dockside. And we'll be at the docks there from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning on June 4th. So hopefully you can join us for the return of in-person networking for the Chamber. That's the business. Got that out of the way. Now we can get on to the reason why we're all here. I had the reason a couple times recently to be in the mall and walking around. You know, it's clear to everyone that the retail landscape is changing. I was there once to give blood, and then my son dragged me there one other time for something else. So it's you know, there's quite a bit of change coming in the retail world, and I think that was spurred on a little faster and maybe sped up a little bit because of COVID-19 and the impacts that had on bricks and mortar retail. So joining us today is Eric Brasier. Eric is the GM at the mall at Fox Run. He's been with them for 3.5 years now. With Luminosity Real Estate Group for 3.5 years. He's been here at the Fox Run Mall for the past 7 months. Prior to joining the real estate group, he was with Saks Fifth Avenue in Boston for 4 years in a similar capacity. He's owned a residential construction firm. He is a Wentworth Institute of Technology graduate in mechanical engineering, and he wants to be a filmmaker. That's his secret ambition in life, is become a filmmaker. So first and foremost, Eric, thanks for being here. And let's get to the important question. What film would you make first?
It's called Luminosity. It's something that I wrote. We actually filmed it several years ago. I'm working on editing it. And if I can sort of cobble together the time to finish it, hopefully you get to see it in theaters.
There you go. Awesome. Well, fantastic. So, you know, if we could start with, why don't you just give us a little overview of the mall as it stands today, the mall at Fox Run. You know, I've been in there some recently. There's some new stores in there. There's a lot of cars in there. There's all sorts of unique stuff going on in there. There's, you know, some empty anchor stores. What's going on at the mall at Fox Run?
So if you'll allow me to sort of talk about the future by stepping back a little bit, because I think to your point about you know, hot topic of conversation, there's, you know, a lot of people that are suggesting things. You know, there's initiatives we've been looking to roll out, changes we were looking to make that were, you know, semi-public, and, you know, I sort of wanted to speak to some of those and then sort of talk to like where we're at right now. Roughly 2 years ago, we were in the process of looking at a significant redevelopment to the property. And what that encompassed was really three things. We were looking to enlarge and expand the food court. It was going from a food court to a food hall. It was going to be, you know, additional food court vendors. There was going to be more sit-down restaurants. It was going to go front to back. It was going to sort of change the look and the feel of the mall. That was sort of central to every single version of a plan that we looked at. That was number one. Number two was activating the parking lot. So right now we're kind of, you know, 80s looking parking lot, very utilitarian. The goal was to sort of make it more attractive, more useful, maybe activate some pad sites for some sort of standalone one-off uses that could sort of operate independent of the mall. And we were also working with some national tenants that are not represented in the area to, you know, bring them into Fox Run. So, you know, we were looking at that, traveling down that path, and then COVID hit and changed everything for everybody. And so, you know, that's sort of still on the table, but I would say we're more treading water on that right now while we sort of look more in the micro as opposed to the macro. And so right now we're focused on three things, and that's local, the experience, and the community. And so by local, what I'm referring to is we want to bring in tenants that are either in the area and want to expand, or maybe they've outgrown their area, but it would be, you know, a tenant that's specific to this area. They're operating, you know, local to the Seacoast area, that we could sort of incorporate into the mall and get that sort of experience that, you know, you don't get to have by going to any other mall. So that's number one. And then number two is sort of being more experience based. So, you know, in the past, malls, I think were, you know, 100% almost sort of retail based. I think it's not a uncommon knowledge thing that malls are sort of shifting to more of an experience, and we're certainly doing that as well. We have brought in Port City Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studio. We have Fox Run line dancing, which offers a lot of different kinds of dancing in addition to line dancing. So really focused on, in addition to the local flavor, having sort of more experience-based things where you come to the mall, you're not shopping, but you're doing something. That's number two. And then number three is developing a sense of community. And by that, we have a lot of events that are going on. You mentioned the cars. We do Seacoast Cars and Coffee events. They happen the first Sunday of every month from May to October with, a little bit of flexibility in the middle of the schedule there somewhere. We're doing craft fairs. And one cool thing that I'm excited, we haven't officially announced it yet. Some of our participants are speaking to it, but I'm very excited about it because it sort of integrates everything that I just said. Is we're going officially #dog friendly, and what we mean by that is that you can come to the mall with your dog and shop the mall. So we are doing an event on May 26th from 5 to 7. We're calling it Yappy Hour, and we're going to have a couple of pet suppliers here. We're going to have dog shows. We're going to have photo ops. We're going to use it as a sort of a launching point to say that, whereas in the past, the mall frowned on bringing your dog to shopping, we feel like that bringing your dog shopping is sort of part and parcel to the experience of having an enjoyable shopping experience. And we embrace that, and we're looking forward to that going forward. And so, we're having that event Yappy Hour at the end of this month to sort of encapsulate that. So, like I said, in the short term, what we're focusing on is local experience and community, and we're excited to be doing that.
Well, there's a lot there, and I certainly love a lot of the different aspects that you pulled together there. I think it's important to note that malls around the country are all in this situation. I don't know of any mall that's truly what I would say thriving at this point in time. Is there a model out there? Is someone doing this really well that you're kind of looking at as a successful, like, here's what we should aspire to?
I mean, Spinozo has, I think, 25 properties. So we do leverage best practices across our portfolio. But, some of it is sort of inventing the wheel and doing what's best for the property here. The nice thing about my company, or one of the nice things about my company, is that they really empower you to sort of make decisions locally that work for your market. And so, we have the ability to leverage the sort of collective mind source of our company, but we get to filter it through and make that work for specific to Fox Run. So I guess in direct answer to your question, no, we're not building it on one direct model, but we are taking sort of pieces and parts from things that work, as well as incorporating our own ideas.
Great. So, one of the things that, I've been thinking about is there are, you talk about building community. I would like to think that there's a lot of opportunity to use some of the spaces for events and maybe have an event venue there for, nonprofit fundraising events and things like that. And that would really lend itself well to some of the stuff you're talking about. Have you considered anything along those lines?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We definitely have space to be able to do that. We've looked into, or we're looking into, I would say, there's a pretty good appetite for like a shared space or shared office space. So, that's one of the things that we're looking into.
Like a co-working space kind of thing?
Yes. Yep. And then sort of to your, I guess, adding on to that sort of events, I mentioned a few, but, that's pretty heavy. It factors pretty heavily into what we're looking to do in order to build a sense of community. We have some craft fairs that are going on, and, we're looking at other events that we can bring to the mall to make it fun.
And so how do you plan to attract, I certainly think on the local retailers standpoint, You know, I certainly think you could compete on pricing, you know, price per square feet. I think you could probably be very competitive compared to, you know, a downtown Portsmouth rent where you're paying, you know, pretty high dollar for your rents downtown. You know, how else do you plan to entice some of these retailers on a local level to, you know, kind of go to the mall and be part of that?
Yeah, good question. It's you know, it's getting the buy-in. And do you believe in the vision? So, you know, you can sort of see what's taking shape now with, you know, Seacoast Cars and Coffee and the line dancing studio and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studio. And we have a new restaurant that's just opened, One Love Jamaican Cuisine. And so it all kind of comes back to, like, you can see the vision sort of taking shape now. It's in the early phases. But, you know, if you come into the mall and you talk to me or Jenny, who's our specialty leasing manager, you know, we can talk to you about sort of specific to the mall, like what our vision is, hyper focused, and maybe how you can benefit from being at the mall.
So there's a question here, and this is a term I'm not familiar with, maybe you are, about circular economy. That's from Jennifer Moore. Any thoughts about circular economy or maker spaces? Are you familiar with circular economy? Or maybe we can find Jennifer.
So no, I'm not familiar with that term.
Where's Jennifer? Jennifer, you got to help us out here.
Can you unmute her?
Hi, sorry, here
There
I
you
am.
go.
There you are.
Secondhand stores, all types, you know, not just
Okay.
clothing, but everything, furniture, all of it.
Okay, I hadn't heard that term before. Like it.
That's to be honest, this really hasn't been on my radar, but I like the idea, and I'm writing it down right now. If you have you know, people that are operating that business that you think would be a good idea, I definitely want to hear from you.
I would, is this, can you hear me?
Yep.
Here we go. I keep doing it and then undoing it.
Okay.
I've done an enormous amount of work on sustainability in our community. And if you want to have tea and just chat, that would be so fun for me, because I have daydreamed about what could happen at the mall and me and friends. And that would just be amazing. I would love to have a conversation with you.
100% down with that.
Great.
There you
Okay.
go. Look at this.
I'll reach out to you.
Make
Yay!
a deal.
So,
Awesome.
Eric, I know one of the things that I'm sure you've heard 1,000 times, if you've heard it once, is you know, our communities, one of our community's greatest needs is housing. And I know that, you know, it doesn't take a brainiac to put together, hey, big space, could be lots of apartments, could be lots of units, could be housing, you know, does that factor into the plan? Is that possible?
So we're not zoned for it, so it's kind of a steep hill to climb. Every iteration of our large-scale redevelopment that I spoke of, you know, pre-COVID, did not include any kind of a residential component in it. May it in the future. We haven't really crossed that bridge yet, but I agree that, you know, there's definitely a shortage of housing, and you know, we have a lot of land, so, you know, it seems like there's an opportunity there. But I can tell you that you know, we haven't really looked into that yet.
I think 10 people's hearts just crushed on the call a little bit.
I know.
It's such a community need.
So what I would like, I guess, is you know, I want to be true to my statement about activating a community aspect. So if there are members of the community, people that are on this call right now that are interested in sort of pushing that narrative, then I would welcome them to reach out to me directly, and, you know, we can sort of talk through it, and I'd like to hear sort of their viewpoints as well.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of people are looking at you know, these mixed use developments that have popped up everywhere, where it's, you know, retail first floor and then, you know, residential or office space on the second, and you know, residential above that. You know, and those seem to be doing incredibly well, you know, in communities around the country, because it you know, you have built-in people if everyone's living there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you would want to do that. And I agree that, you know, it does seem to be the wave of the future. I think that, you know, for specific to Fox Run, when we were looking to do our redevelopment, we were sort of trying to put the round peg in the round hole.
Yeah.
Like I said, where it's not currently zoned for it. But like I said, if there's a community appetite for it, then, I'd like to hear it.
Well, I definitely think you would have a lot of partners that would jump at the opportunity to work with you on that. And I think we have enough people from the town of Newington on the call right now where we could probably get this done right here. But it might take a little bit more than that. I'm not sure. But I do think, just knowing the need in the community and there's got to be some partnerships out there that could, help bring some of that to be, because I think there's no doubt there's a demand, right?
Right.
The other question I had, and thinking about this earlier today, is, you're right across the highway, literally from the Pease Trade Port. What sort of industrial opportunity might there be to kind of complement some of the industry that's already existing on the trade port and work with that?
Yep. So that was something that I'd mentioned we were doing, we were looking to activate the parking lot and potentially do pad sites. That was something that we were looking at, I believe, and I don't want to speak like I'm stating fact, but I'm mostly sure that we are zoned for a medical or, lawns of, their biomedical type of a use. That is definitely something where I feel like there's an opportunity for us to, those companies are growing tremendously and could outgrow their footprint pretty quickly. And that would definitely be an opportunity for them all.
Very good. A lot of things have come through here in the chat. People are loving the dog friendly. I think that'll be a lot of fun. More recreation for younger thing, old fashioned carousel idea. I like it. More, I think some comments from our friend Becky Cates about the way to build community and, maybe offering space for Girl Scout troops to meet, or at least maybe have display spaces for them to showcase some of their nonprofits activities.
Yep.
I think that would be.
Yeah, we do have a Girl Scout troop that sells Girl Scout cookies. I think it's once a year, maybe it's twice a year. But again, 100% open to hearing about opportunities to partner with the community.
And I see State Representative Jackie Pitts has her hand raised. Do you want to jump in here?
Yeah, it's Jackie Callie Pitts, not for younger things. What I believe, I hate to see the documentary When the Day Retail Died, but I would like to see, what I think the mall needs is a draw. What's special about the mall that brings people in there to, when they're there, they shop and make it convenient? One of the things that we have wrestled with in the city of Portsmouth is that there's no year-round recreation for young children. We build facilities for adults, rightly so, but young children need something. So, they had that little minuscule play area. I think an expanded year-round play area that's not necessarily free, that people might have to pay to go into, with a unique design, and I'm not a designer, that would service children year-round, which I think would draw people into the mall. And that's one of the needs that we did with a recreation study and other things, and that need just does not seem to be being addressed. And I think that's one of the uses for the mall. If you had an industrial area with a children's area, I mean, you can do all this together. I don't want it, and I used to represent Newmarket. I don't anymore, Newington, but I don't want to see Fox Run condos. I really don't. I think we've got enough of that, and I think that something like that for younger children would be very beneficial and year round. I mean, let's face it, we go 4 months a year, 5 months a year outside. So I think that would be, again, an anchor, a draw, not like a retail store, but a draw to bring the community in. So, thank you.
Well, no, thank you. Actually, someone, I thought I did have a little bit of that thought earlier today as I was looking at the guest list of who was joining us today, and I believe someone from the YMCA was joining us, and I was like, that would be a great use for a mall.
Roger.
Have a fitness center or kids, kids gymnastics place or something along those lines to bring families in, something that can be done year round. I'll throw a plug out. I think roller derby would be awesome in the mall. It's fantastic. It'd be great. There's all sorts of great opportunities there. So thanks. And Eric, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, we are looking into that. We've started sort of working in that direction. We do have the play areas Jackie had mentioned. We've relocated our arcade from the Macy's end of the mall up to kind of like where Sears used to be. And sort of as part of that, our sort of overall look to the mall is that, the Macy's end of the mall is, you kind of look at it as like Macy's and Seacoast Cars and Coffee. And those people that, that frequent those places are sort of living in the same zip code. And then, we've got, JCPenney and FYE and now the arcade and sort of more of a younger demographic that we're sort of migrating up to this, the JCPenney end of the mall. So we are looking at sort of how we can sort of reposition what we have and then, improve on that in the long run.
It looks like the Y might be interested. We already got partnerships in the making in the chat. So that would be fantastic. And do some Zoom
Definitely.
at the mall. That'd be fun. Not me,
Yeah.
but other people can do Zoom. So.
Try it once.
Great. So I'm curious, we've talked a lot about the mall and I know that's your footprint. What about big box in general? And I know the area, the crossings and things like that are not, directly connected to what you all do, but what does the future hold for those sort of strip mall things?
So they're going to keep reinventing themselves as well. And I think what you'll find is that it's sort of cyclical and, malls were where the money was being invested, 20 years ago. And then 10 years ago, you saw sort of the big blocks, the power center really coming into its own strength. And so now I think what you're seeing is the cycle is that, it's time for the malls to start reinventing themselves. So I think you're going to start seeing a lot of the money flowing into the enclosed mall and sort of reinventing that look. And then it'll just continue to follow in the cycle. There's a market for both, and I think both can succeed. But I sort of think that sort of based on history and the way that the cycle works, that's what you'll see.
And Anne Weidman, who's a great community visionary locally, I think is a good term I can use for her. Commented in the chat that oftentimes the footprint of the malls have to change to sort of reinvent themselves. And I saw that in the community I moved from. There was a mall there's two malls in town. One survived, one didn't, and they actually they took out the center and they left all the ring of the donut, if you will. It turned into a very successful outlets. Granted, we have outlets in Kittery. So, I guess one of the questions is, how big can we think here? Are we considering, change to the footprint?
I would say probably everything's on the table. Like I said, the sort of the bigger picture redevelopment, which was, I would say, more changing the footprint, is treading water at the time. Right now, we are more focused on our three initiatives of making it local, enhancing the experience and developing a community. But that being said, we want to continue to grow and to do what's best, for the property and the community. And if there are people that are out on the call right now that would like to sort of pursue that conversation, then I think that's sort of a conversation that we can involve our corporate partner, out of New York and involve the ownership in.
Great. And was there anything you wanted to add to that, or did I cover all that?
We ponder this in our office all the time. We had an intern that actually did a paper on it, how she could re-envision Fox Run Mall. Sometimes we think of it as a great place for senior living. the multifamily, just all sorts of different things you can do, a lot of which Eric has already mentioned. But we kind of always come back to the fact that sometimes the construction itself is aging, and because it's, how old is the mall? 30 years old?
It was built in 83.
I mean, that's old construction. We frequently see college dorms built in the 80s that are being torn down because it's such just out of date construction. It's not efficient. It's not energy efficient. So that's why, though we really hate to tear down buildings, we like to reuse them. You have to do the study and figure out if you're going to change the use of it. Is it better to take off one of the legs or arms or whatever you want to call it, take it down and put up an efficient, energy efficient building with a new use? So, it's always a moving target. There's no exact answer for it, but we do toss it around in our office all the time. You get 25 architects in a room and we talk about malls.
Very good. Thanks, Ann. Great. Any other questions in the chat I'm missing, John?
I don't think so. Does anyone want to raise their hands? I think we might have hit them all.
All right. Well, very good, Eric. Appreciate all your input. I think the biggest takeaway from this is that we're at the start of a conversation here as a community. How we can keep them all vibrant and alive. And sounds like you guys you all are very interested in some community partnerships and some new ideas. And hopefully you'll get an inbox flooded with some new ideas and new contacts and new concepts to reach out that will reach out to you with some great potential. I did have one question. This was explained to me, and it may not be true. So I was told at one point that the big tenants, the big anchor stores, owned their footprints, and the mall owned. Is that still the case?
That is true, yes. So Macy's owns Macy's and JCPenney owns JCPenney, et cetera.
Okay. And does that limit some of your potential plans, or is that not really a barrier?
It limits not the right word. There's a thing called the Reciprocal Easement Agreement when the property was first developed, and that basically said that mall is going to develop a mall, JCPenney is going to build a store, and Macy's is going to build a store, and of course, the Reciprocal Easement Agreement would state that the purpose of doing this is because one side benefits the other. So it's not that it limits it, but as we move forward, we always want to involve our partners to make sure that we're doing the best for everybody.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. I do want to give a minute for our friends, speaking of partners at Portsmouth Smart Growth, to share a little bit about an upcoming session they have that is directly related. This was a scenario where two organizations were about tripping over each other here because we had similar mindsets. And so on May 25th, they have a session coming up of retrofitting the big box to create the spaces the Seacoast needs. And I believe we have Emily Chadwick from Portsmouth Smart Growth, who's going to share a little bit about that and maybe invite everybody.
Thank you so much, Ben. I really appreciate it. My name is Emily Chadwick. I'm the chair of Portsmouth Smart Growth. And as you mentioned, on May 25th, we're going to be having an event called Retrofitting the Big Box to Create Spaces the Seacoast Needs, where we will be highlighting speaker Ellen Dunham-Jones, who has been studying this exact scenario for the last 20 years, at least. And she's done a ton of research on it, and we'll be presenting several case studies of projects that she's studied from around the country of malls, big box stores, office park spaces, sort of these oversized spaces that were built in the 20th century that don't really fit our current needs very well. And so she'll be looking at specific examples of places around the country that have been dealing with these exact same problems. And it's been really interesting to sit in today's conversation because I think she's really going to speak to a lot of the different issues people have brought up. And I think she's going to speak broadly. We won't be talking specifically about Fox Run, but certainly that can be included in the conversation. And I think that she'll have some really good insights into what's happening across the country, ways that people have dealt with this, and on a wide variety of different approaches. And I think it could be a really interesting conversation following up on this specific conversation, and a way for people to talk about some of those bigger ideas for Fox Run, or for the larger area around Fox Run, or other areas within Portsmouth and the Seacoast that are dealing sort of, or are sort of in the same situation. So I really hope all of you will come out on May 25th. It is a virtual event, so we do ask you to register, and I'll put the registration link in the chat. But I would love to have you guys all participate, because I think, especially having had this conversation already, you'll already be sort of primed to have this larger conversation, and already have some really great ideas, and we've heard some great ideas here already. So I'll go ahead, and it looks like Ben already put the registration right in the chat there. But I'm really excited to continue this conversation, because I think it's going to be a really good segue from what was started here, and then sort of dive into some of those bigger ideas that people are starting to ask about.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. I really appreciate that. And that session sounds great. And if there's no better example of how important this is to our community, we have 50 some odd people spending a Friday afternoon, that is absolutely gorgeous outside to learn more about it. And obviously there's a lot of folks that care. So I'm delighted to partner with Portsmouth Smart Group and Smart Growth and promote this. And it sounds like a great session. So appreciate you guys doing that.
Great,
all
thanks.
right. Well, Ed, is there any last things you want to share with us before we move on? Eric, sorry, I said Ed.
Oh, yeah. Ben, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak a little bit about Fox Run. I don't know, like, as far as people that wanted to contact me, are you able to sort of source that information and pass it on, or how would I talk to some people that maybe brought up some good ideas, or had some things that.
Oh, you muted yourself. We can do that a couple ways. People can reach out to me, and I can pass them along to you, or if it's okay with you, can drop your contact information in the chat, and people can email you directly.
Here we go. I'll do that.
Perfect. All right. Beware. I know there's people who are going to start firing things your way, which is good.
My email is already sent.
Perfect. People are already on it. So
Like,
fantastic. Well, taking a cue from our fabulous leader, Valerie Roshan, we always end these sessions with a little video or something to entertain everybody. She always called it it was 12 hugs. Did I have that right, Valerie? 11, 12? 11 hugs. Okay. That everybody really needs 11 hugs, and those can be any sort of physical hug, or just nice words, or something joyous in their day to get through. So as long as we've been doing this, we've been sharing just a little something at the end that makes people put a smile on their face. So today we are going to be sharing a little video of a band that is coming to play at the music hall on May 15th. They're under the Arch series, Rock Spring. I believe, and Monty's going to give me a thumbs up, that there are tickets still available for sale for this. Yes. So go check that out. Here's a little clip. We're going to play. It's a long clip. We're going to play like 2 minutes worth from 2017 when they were playing in Exeter. So here we go.
This is our song about being down by the river.
Hang on. Technical challenges here.
We could hear it at least a little bit.
Yeah, I think the new computer is not wanting to cooperate.
Oh, there they are. Woohoo. You can see them now.
Lately I've been spending all my time just watching that aluminum water rushing by. would ever want to leave, how she'd ever like to go so far away. Not a happy home that she had made here with me, how she'd ever think she could stay away from the river, over that lovely riverside, or that mighty Merrimack River. Lord knows I never done float so high by the river, by the lovely riverside. Tell you what, I just might hang down with my cousin. The two of us talk of the more crazy things. He and I gonna work us up a healthy beer buzz. Maybe we gonna hang us up a swing over the river, over that lovely riverside, with a hangover that I give you, but you ain't never been so high. Down by the river, oh Lord, take me to the river, down by the riverside. By the river, baby, get me down on the river, down to the riverside.
All right, everybody, we're gonna end it there. Brought me back to my North Carolina days. But thank you all, and have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy. Take care.